I've been trialling Flipgrid. I've been using Flipgrid as a method of assessment and a measure of the students' understanding of some of the topics in their folder. When I first started using Flipgrid, I didn't find it very user-friendly, but that wasn't down to the Flipgrid app, that was down to our college technology. We sometimes have no internet connection. Flipgrid actually changed their app, but then I hadn't downloaded that properly. So those were a few hiccups when we went to use it. We couldn't get to work properly. But when we did get it to work properly and the students answered the questions that are set, they answered the questions fully. The EV came last year, she looked at some of the Flipgrid videos and she was delighted, and her opinion was that the students gave far more feedback verbally than ever they would have written. I'm really enjoying using Flipgrid. Again, at the start I was a little bit unsure, but because we've now set up our pages and we're more familiar with it, it's an excellent assessment tool. Well, again, some students here, some don't have phones. It's hard to believe, but some students don't come here with a phone. This helps them with an understanding of some digital processes and talking about themselves, taking a photograph of themselves, just building the confidence a little bit and their own understanding.
Hi, this is Kim Shields' class and just discussing the use of Flipgrid in their learning. So guys, whoever would like to answer, what's the difference between doing a Flipgrid exercise and doing a worksheet?
It's easier recording yourself and it gives you more confidence in it.
Okay, so how might using Flipgrid give you more confidence?
You can say a lot more than writing pages and pages of words.
Okay. Do you get a chance when you're using Flipgrid to work together as a team or as a pair?
Yeah.
Yeah? And would you get that opportunity when doing worksheets?
No, you can, but it's easier with Flipgrid, you have more of a laugh.
You have more of a laugh, okay. So if I was to tell another teacher about Flipgrid, okay, why would you recommend Flipgrid rather than doing more paper-based exercises in the classes? What's the main thing you would pick out from Flipgrid that would ensure a teacher chose to do that rather than?
It's just easier because you can just show a lot of things.
Okay, so why does Kim use Flipgrid in your lessons?
It's more beneficial to us.
Okay, why do you think that is? I'm picking on you now.
Because we all use digital like phones and that.
Okay.
So we use like recording ourselves and taking selfies.
Alright. So you think you use it anyway in your everyday life? So
Yeah.
when she uses it in lessons, does that go on?
Yeah, like people who don't have phones and stuff like that, so it's like showing them how to like work technology and stuff.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering my questions.
I used Google Classroom. It was something that I've never used it before. I sort of just did a little bit of research on it and found out about it. Trialled it using myself first, and then realised that I would set it up with a group. So I used that with my level 3 year 1 sport. I found that it was easy to engage with the students, so they were keen. They could just download the app on the phone, so they found it pretty easy to use. And they could use it wherever they were, so if they were travelling at home, on the bus, or if they were away on a weekend or whatever, they could use the app wherever they are. Problems I had with it was I didn't think at first, to be honest, that anyone would have a Google account, so a Google email address, but the vast majority of them did, so that surprised us straight away, so that was really quick and easy for them to set up. And then I did have a couple of people putting inappropriate comments on to the classroom, but then I can just block what they can say, so I could stop them from commenting, so they could only see or let them comment on only certain posts and things like that. And then obviously dealing with that within the classroom, that I got rid of that problem. In the future, I'm hoping to use it to sort of set assignments and different things. So I'll set tasks on there, and then they can hand in the piece of work on using Google Classroom, and then hopefully I'll be able to give a little bit of feedback to the learners on there, and I'll use that sort of as maybe even a draft process to start with, and then try handing in assignments. But I think that they would buy into that because they could even type up the work on texts on phones and then hand it in, as opposed to going onto a laptop or a computer. You should find that a little bit easier. For the students, I think that they'll find it more accessible, so they would use it more because they're not logging on to Moodle. So if they were going to log on to Moodle, they would have to log on through a computer, or they could possibly do it on the phone, but it's not easy to navigate because we haven't got an app. Whereas Google Classroom, you could just log straight onto the phone, bang the into there, and you can see assignment briefs or assessment. And then for the hand in, you literally just hand into the assessment criteria that I've set up. So for an example, it might be exercise, health and lifestyle, assignment 1. You just click onto that, hand into there, and that's done. So it's just as easy, if not easier, than using Moodle. For myself, I would just put my resources onto Google Classroom, and just literally drag and drop, and I can put all my resources and PowerPoints onto there. So again, for myself, it's just either using Moodle or using Google Classroom. I think the students would prefer Google Classroom. For myself, I can use either. I'm happy with either. I'm personally more accessible because likewise, I just have the app on my phone, so if somebody puts a question to me, I can go on and answer it at home or whatever. I'm not saying that that's the way forward, but I personally do that, so I can answer a question. If they put it at 6 o'clock on the night, I can answer that if they're working at home. And then if I answer, for an example, one of a student's question that someone else was going to ask me, that they can see that comment there and think, oh, so that's what I need to do. They then don't need to ask me a question by email, so I'll maybe put down on getting 16 emails to report someone just asking one question. Everyone can see that, or I can comment on there, which will hopefully help them if they're working at home. And again, another positive would be that I sometimes don't see them on a day-to-day basis, so I might go a day or two without seeing them. So if I want them to know something, I can post on there, and I know that everyone will see that. Whereas Moodle, I could post onto Moodle, I don't know whether anyone's even looked until the next time they log on here. Did they look at home? Possibly not.
It allows us to stay in contact with our teachers outside of college, so if we're struggling with work, we can always ask them for advice and help if needed.
There's a better communication between students and tutor, as you're able to constantly communicate if you need to, and it helps with getting constant feedback instantly as well.
Okay, Robbie, what's been the major thing for you for using Google Classroom?
It's like you can get notifications quicker, so if your tutor sets your work, you can access it quicker and be able to do it straight away.
I think a mixture of both would be the best. I think Google Classroom works a lot more outside of college, as it allows you to stay in touch. And you can also work on work in like homework or whatever that hasn't even been set yet, so you can look over to the future. Whereas Moodle is like set pieces of work that are on the website pre-programmed in.
Okay.
So you kind of just always work in like, I say like you're not working in the future. You can't plan ahead. You should work is like direct.
Okay.
So I think Moodle's good for that aspect, whereas Classroom, Google Classroom is more of like a planning thing, so it's like more like you can plan ahead and stuff.
Okay, so when I was talking to Ben about how he's used it with you guys, he was saying that you guys had already looked at the piece of work you were doing in the next lesson, and you already came in and basically you started on the merit criteria rather than, and you'd already done the pass criteria.
Well, we already he tells us the night before, the day before what we're doing, so we know where we're going, what we're going to be going the next day.
Okay.
Whereas with Moodle, you have to like go online and whatever's there, what you're doing that day, you have no preparation.
So you're less likely to access Moodle on a night.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to catch you out. than accessing Google Classroom.
Yeah.
So did all you guys sign up to a Google email and download the app?
Yeah.
Was that a problem for you guys, or?
Just done straight away.
I'll have to do it straight away.
Okay.
Hello, who are you and what do you teach?
My name is Jason Miller and I teach Level 3 Networking, Cybersecurity and Computing.
Thank you. What tool have you been using?
I've been using AnswerGuard.
Why have you been using that tool?
AnswerGuard is an interesting tool in the fact that the way that it comes up on the screen, I use that tool to collect similar answers and that gives them a weight.
How do you mean a weight?
So if two people answer, for instance, what is a good IP address to have in a local network, and they answer 192.168.0, if 4 people answer that, the weight becomes larger and the font changes size.
What problem does it solve?
It's good for getting very quick answers to a question, but everybody's seeing everybody else's answer.
What benefit does it offer?
It offers a discussion tool where we can actually talk about the answers that they're giving and why people gave, in essence, the wrong answer, the right answer. That was very factual, but some of the answers can be very qualitative. So that was a quantitative answer. So as a qualitative answer, we can actually have varying degrees of quality of answers.
Do the students enjoy using it?
The students enjoy it. There's a yes and no to this. Yes, they enjoy using it. They can abuse it. However, once they get the idea of what they're using it for, then they do enjoy using it.
So what advice would you give to a new user of the
Be
tool?
very careful of what your instructions are. Say that everything that they type and they press enter on will appear on that screen. So they have to be adult about what they're answering.
Thank you very much. Hello, who are you and what do you teach?
I'm Christine Gilbert-Ferguson, I'm a science teacher.
And what tool are you going to be talking about today?
Google Forms.
And why have you been using Google Forms?
I've been using Google Forms for things like quizzes in the classroom because it enables me to get feedback and actual data of the answers that the students provide.
And what problem does it solve?
It helps me assess them without formal assessment, so it gives me a good kind of idea of whereabouts those students are at without actually formally assessing.
And do the students enjoy it?
Yes.
How do you know?
They get really competitive and really into it. They can do it on their phones, so they seem to quite like it.
And what advice would you give to new users?
It can take a little bit of time to set up, so make sure that you take that time because it is worth it once it's set up and you've got it there, and then you can import it to different classrooms and things like that.
Okay, thank you very much, Christine.
Thank you.
Hello, who are you and what do you teach?
My name's Carolyn Williams. I'm at Darlington College and I currently teach shorthand T-line to the journalism students.
And what tool have you been using?
I'm currently using Google Meet and Google Classroom.
And why have you been using that tool?
Okay, I'm using that because I currently have about 3 groups, all of whom are based around the country, and they really are far flung, and the closest I think is in Bradford, York. But apart from that, they're in Wales, Essex and all over the place. So it saves them actually coming into the college and you can do everything remotely.
Do the students enjoy using it?
I've got to be honest, the students don't know any different. Are they making the progress that they would in a normal session? Yes, they do make progress. Is it as quick? That's yet to be debated because we still go through the pilot stage.
What benefit to the students is there of using it?
The benefit to the student is cost and to their employers because they're all apprentices, so they don't have to travel to Darlington for every session, so they get 2 hours a week with me. So they can do it from their own bedrooms, actually, their own houses, or they can go into work to do it.
And what advice would you give to a new user?
Practice first and set up your stall very quickly on a morning and get it trialled out because it's IT, it relies on the internet and things do go wrong. And I'm lucky because I see my students every 8 weeks and they're apprentices and they have a lot to say, they're not shy about coming forward, and if anything's going wrong, they'll let me know.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Hello, who are you and what do you teach?
Hello, my name is Victoria Brown and I teach Business Studies at Darlington College.
And what tool are you talking about today?
Today I'm going to talk about Kahoot.
And why have you been using Kahoot?
I started to use Kahoot on recommendation from a colleague.
Oh, good. And what does Kahoot solve? What problem does it solve?
Kahoot is very good at engaging students as an assessment tool.
And what benefit does it offer to you?
It, like I said, it engages the students and it adds an element of fun and competition.
Good. So do the students enjoy it?
Yes, we do.
How do you know?
Because when we use the tool, everybody becomes engaged in the session.
Thank you. And what advice would you give to a new user of Kahoot?
The only problem that I found with Kahoots is that the number of characters offered for the question is often too few for the question you want to ask.
So keep the question short.
Keep the question short.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vicky. Hello, good morning. What are your names?
I'm Rosie.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Mary.
Thank you very much. And what course are you on?
Level 3 health.
Thank you. And what tool has your lecturer been using?
Kahoot.
Very good. And why do you think they use Kahoot?
Help with our knowledge.
It's
quick
fire.
things.
Do you enjoy using it?
Yeah, we all get very competitive.
Because we like to
And it helps you like learn the knowledge so quickly. Yeah.
Very good. And what advice would you give to a student to beat the others on Kahoot?
Know the knowledge, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello. Who are you and what do you teach?
My name's Emma Clegg and I'm a senior lecturer in the childcare department down at college.
Thank you very much. And what tool have you been using?
We've been using the new Oculus Goes. So we've just bought 5 of these with some funding we've got from NE&C. And we're also involved with an app being developed, hence us getting the Oculus Goes because that's what it's been developed for.
Okay. Why have you been using the tool?
In the summer I was invited up to NCFE Newcastle for them to be involved with some research to do with an app that's going to be used to go towards the qualifications that we offer. And from our involvement up there, we've kept in with them, helped them develop the app, and they wanted to come and test it out with some of our learners. So because of that, we then purchased some Oculus Goes with some funding, and NCFE have been down and done some filming and testing with our learners.
Very good. And what problem does it solve?
Initial feedback from students has been pretty fantastic actually, because obviously there was a film crew and a photographers and everything down there, so they've all been interviewed to death. And basically a lot of them were saying they're completely immersed when we put this on. So the Oculus Go is pretty decent headset. The microphone is involved actually inside it, although you can put your headphones in as well. However, they said they'd completely and utterly forgot about everything else going on in the room, which was great. And we've got loads of photos that prove they've all got their thinking faces on. And there's other things going on in the classroom and they're completely immersed in the app that we had them looking at.
So do you think the students really enjoy it?
Oh, massively. They're involved with the actual app being developed, so they gave us some good ideas to head back, and then NCFE are going to take it back to the developer. They're going to make the changes, and it's going to be officially launched in January with the students' recommendations that they were saying.
So what's the benefit to the students of using this?
The first app that we've just developed there, and some that I've downloaded, and the reason we've got them is to make it much more of an active learning. So the app we're involved with at the moment is about conception through to the first years of life. So at the moment on our early years level 3, which is an A-level course, they have to learn quite a lot of detail about how the baby is formed in the womb, how it develops its senses, all the reflexes it has in the womb before it's born. And at the moment we're teaching that in textbooks. There are some videos, but this way they're actually inside the womb. They see the baby developing month by month. They can interact with the baby. There's also a part on the app where they can actually look in the mirror and they are the pregnant female. So they get to see how a pregnant lady develops and how her body changes and what happens as the baby actually grows. Much more hands-on than actually looking at a textbook.
Good. And so what advice would you give to a new user of this system?
Well, interesting, that's what the awarding body have been asking us as well, because there is a bit of a fear using these. There's the initial, oh brilliant, let's all go on a roller coaster and see how it is, but I've been adamant when I put my bid together, yes, by all means have a bit of fun on them, but they're not to be used as a game, they are to be used as to extend the learning. So there are actually lesson plans being used to adapt, and I know a lot of the staff in my staff room have said, can you teach us with them to see how to use them properly? you do need to get your confidence with them. You need to know how to use them, how to change things, what happens when things go wrong. For some people, I can see there will be a fear because they are quite high tech. You have to sync and pair up your handset across to the actual headset itself. We've already lost one handset to another one and it unpaired, but luckily the two of us who are using it have got the competence to do that. So I think really it will just be the fear of the unknown to begin with. But luckily we are going to get some really good apps that are going to be perfect for our learners, and it all links into lots of different modules for health, childcare and public services.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Who are you and what do you teach?
Good morning. My name is Caroline Piercy. I teach a number of different IT subjects. I teach level 2 and level 3, including some exam units.
And what tool have you been using?
I've started using quizzes recently. It's mainly for the exam units, and I find it a good way of getting the students to practice their questions, answering questions, brings in competition, which a lot of the students like. So I've been using it to get them used to multiple choice questions, which is what their exam is, and going through past paper questions with them.
And do the students enjoy it?
They do. Well, most of them, yeah, they enjoy it because they're quite competitive. They like to see themselves at the top of the leaderboard, so they quite enjoy using it.
And what advice would you give to a new user?
Just have a go. Practice, have a go. Tell the students if it is your first time with it, because then they do forgive slight issues with it. So just have a go and use it as much as you can.
Thank you very much.
Hello, would you like to introduce yourself and your job role?
Hello, my name is Paula Taylor and I'm an advanced practitioner. I've been an advanced practitioner over at South West Durham for over a year now, and I've been part of sort of quality process over there as well. I've recently been asked to do some digital technologies, working with the staff and with the learners. So I've been using an app called Notability, and it's used on an iPad. I've used it mainly for learning walks and observations, and it's been in place of the quality Word document. What happens is I can video and photograph during an observation, and I can write on top of the videos or the photographs my sort of thoughts and feelings at the time as to what's going on. What happens then is when I show that to the staff members afterwards, they can sort of visually see what's happening from my perspective, and that's made a massive impact on that sort of process, because they won't have ever seen it in that respect. It's usually just been sort of bullet pointed handwritten notes of things. It has made the process quicker because obviously it's straight away, it's there, and the feedback's live. Something I was a little bit concerned about at first was sort of data protection and GDPR and things, but it is the iPads are password protected, and if we are going to keep anything, it's obviously stored safely and securely. We do, at South West Durham as well, make sure that all students provide photo consent forms, so they're either sent home if they're under the age of 18 or they sign it themselves. So generally the impact, as I say, has been really positive, and it's even meant that some of the staff have thought, well, we could use this ourselves and do some feedback to their learners as well. So we're looking at maybe morphing it into something like that in the future.
Okay, thanks, Paula.
You're welcome.
Hi, can you just give me your name and your job role, please?
Yes, my name is Richard Hume, and I'm teaching maths and IT down at South West Durham and also at Bishop Auckland.
Okay, what digital technology have you currently used, and what do you feel the impact that's had on your learning?
A lot of the students I'm teaching are involved in practical subjects, so like plumbing, they might be involved in welding and fabrication. So what I'm using is I'm sometimes using videos to try and put the maths into context, so we're actually talking about what area they might be working in. We also use a lot of things like quizzes and so on at the beginning of the session. So I'll have a pictorial quiz up on the board that they have to come up and interact with. And the idea is that they work on that as a group. So we're trying to break down the barriers between them at the start of the session, and actually do something that's enjoyable at the start of the session. So it's maths related, but it's loosely maths related. So by the time they finish that, they're a bit more enthusiastic about getting on and talking about stuff.
Okay. What do you think the impact of using this method in your teaching's been?
I think the big thing is making sure that you're using stuff that is relevant to the subject that they're actually studying. So the hardest part with teaching the maths, and to a certain extent the IT, is to present something that they see as relevant to what they're actually going to be doing as a job. And for all I can tell them that maths is going to be important in plumbing, to actually have a video of somebody who's actually using it in a role and show how it would be used in a role, you can't beat that as far as convincing them that it's important.
Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you for giving me this reflection that we're going to use towards our digital OTLA project. So just a few questions, Louise. How would you rate your general knowledge of ICT before the start of the digital project? So maybe this time last year.
Probably fairly good. But I have used more things such as Padlet, which I hadn't used before, and quizzes. So I've used more digital technologies since doing this project.
Excellent. And do you feel that's a benefit? Do you think, was it a bit of a learning curve, or do you think it's now sort of embedded in there and giving you an overall better understanding of technology and education?
Yeah, it has. I've always liked using technology in my lessons, but this is new forms of digital technology, and the main thing is it has worked well with the learners. They've enjoyed discovering new things using new technologies, and it's not just an add-on, it's actually a new way of learning for some of the learners. So today we did, with level 1 and level 2, we designed a Padlet, and that was part of their speaking and listening. So they were actually researching and adding things to the Padlet that they could then use for their speaking and listening, researching exam, and also they've taken the link home so they can work on it at home and add things at home, and then they can share it next week on the Padlet. And everybody loved doing that. They thought it was really good. And then today, the entry class has used the iPads, which not all of them are familiar with, and the internet for research. And I gave them a research topic on First World War, and sort of it's a topical thing to talk about at the moment. And they all did research in pairs and found information on the internet, copied it into Word and printed it out and fed it back to the group, and I think that was something they hadn't done before and really enjoyed.
Excellent. I suppose being in an English class, probably would have expected to gain that understanding of ICT within this process.
Yeah, it's kind of, like somebody said when they were giving their feedback on the learners, it's kind of the all-round experience. You can use in lots of different mediums, which is great.
So have you identified a particular problem that was solved or an advantage of incorporating new technology into your classroom?
The advantage is it does add a new dimension and a new area of interest. And I think an advantage is always how you take it forward, and it's how the learners are going to develop it. So it's developing it within the class, but also at home. So it will enhance their development outside of college as well. So I think that's a really good advantage of incorporating it. And it does enhance learning. It does make learning different and more exciting and so more positive. They haven't used an iPad before, the internet much.
So, do you feel then that learning skills is heading in the right direction with regards to incorporating technology into its classrooms for the right reason, but at the same time staying at the same level as other organisations or institutes that might be bigger and more developed in this? I think we're sort of going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think it's vital that we are keeping up with new technology because you just can't avoid it now. It's the way of the world, and I think especially with some entry learners who might not have a computer at home or necessarily means to use digital technologies, then I think it's such a good thing to incorporate into classes. quizzes. I think you've got to keep up with it because otherwise you get left behind in the workplace as well. If they're going to go out and get jobs or volunteer, they need to know about technology.
Yeah. So upon reflection of today's lesson, which, as I say, you've used Padlet, you've used quizzes, you've used the iPads for researching the internet. If you was to sit back and reflect upon today's lesson as opposed to a lesson you maybe did 6 months ago without that, what sort of main points would you take home from it?
With Padlet, it is really an excellent tool that I will use for speaking for different projects. But I realised today actually it was a learning thing for me. I was going to put all different topics on there, which we still probably could do. But for speaking and listening, it's a great way of sharing information and researching. So I would definitely take that forward. And I think I will definitely take the research aspect forward with the entry learners, but on different topics. And also using quizzes for summative and formative and summative assessment is really useful. So with the spelling test, say for either level, to show the progress throughout the lesson. It's great, so I'll definitely be using that as well.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Sian. Thank you for agreeing to give me some insight or a reflection on where things have been going for yourselves with technology in the classroom. I'd just like to ask some questions, and if you can just give me some your opinions. How would you rate your general knowledge of ICT before the start of this digital project?
My knowledge of ICT is fairly general. It's adequate enough to do the job using PowerPoint, Word, Internet and web links. Nothing spectacular, but adequate.
Have you identified a particular problem that was solved or an advantage of using technology?
Well, I haven't actually identified a problem that's been solved, but I did see a possibility of achieving certain things with IT, and that is immediate feedback on certain questions of grammar, assessment of reading and comprehension, a consolidation of unique learning points, and it's been a SWOT analysis to identify strengths and areas for development in a fun and interactive environment.
How's your understanding of ICT in general improved as a result of training that you've been provided?
Well, it certainly has in terms of quizzes and Padlet, which is what we've been doing to further this class, this learning. And in fact, so we developed, I developed a multiple choice quiz on quizzes of 10 questions, and during this time I used a leaderboard to monitor learners' success and progress, looking at percentage of questions that were answered and either correctly or incorrectly. But I didn't want to reveal the fastest or most successful players.
Do you feel learning and skills are now heading in the right direction for digital inclusion in the classroom?
I think generally speaking it's the right direction, but I think that one has to be a bit careful. For example, I didn't want a competitive environment with my learners, as this can embarrass, humiliate and demotivate to some extent, particularly non-millennials. I would give them an end of course summative assessment, such as the quizzes, and they enjoyed it. And ICT skills, no doubt, is good to broaden skills and knowledge.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for your time.